At one point on Saturday night, more than 16,000 people weren't watching a NASCAR race, a football game, or even a major breaking news event. They were watching an airplane. A tiny aircraft icon crawling across a map from Virginia toward Iowa had somehow become the most tracked flight in the world, and the reason was unbelievable. Inside that plane was Kyle Larson, a driver who had just finished a grueling NASCAR Cup Series race at Richmond Raceway, and who was now desperately trying to get across the country in time to compete in one of the biggest races in all of dirt racing. He had no practice, no hot laps, no warm-up, no time to prepare. He was literally racing the clock just to make it to the starting line. And somehow, after racing 400 laps in Virginia, flying through the night, arriving in Iowa after midnight, and jumping straight into a sprint car, Kyle Larson didn't just make the race, he won it. All 50 laps, from the pole to the checkered flag. This is one of the wildest race weekends Kyle Larson has ever experienced. Before we get into the story, welcome back to NASCAR Hub. If you love NASCAR, Kyle Larson, and unbelievable racing stories like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to NASCAR Hub. We are pushing hard for 5,000 subscribers, and your support really helps the channel. On Saturday night, the NASCAR Cup Series ran the Cookout 400 at Richmond Raceway in Virginia. That same night, Knoxville Raceway in Iowa held the 65th Knoxville Nationals. The Knoxville Nationals is the biggest sprint car race in the world. Racers call it the granddaddy of them all. Winning it pays $200,000. Larson, age 34, drives the number 5 Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, and that job comes first. So on paper, Richmond was the plan, and Iowa was the race he would have to watch from a distance. The conflict was not a surprise. It had been known for roughly a year ever since the schedules were revealed. This was the first time since 2016, his third full-time season in the NASCAR Cup Series, that his Cup schedule directly clashed with the Knoxville Nationals. He had competed in every Knoxville National since that year without a conflict, so this was completely new ground for him. Here's where it gets strange. Larson was not just entered at Knoxville, he was on the pole. On Thursday night, he won his qualifying feature in the Silva Motorsports number 57, charging past Garrett Williamson late in the race. That win made him the top point driver for the week, and it put him on the pole for Saturday night's finale, the best starting spot in the biggest race of the year, and the man who earned it was scheduled to be hundreds of miles away. So why enter it at all? The backup plan explains part of it. A crew member named Trevor Canales was going to climb into Larson's sprint car, roll off the pole, and pull straight into the pits. Racers call that start and park. It collects a paycheck and nothing more. That paycheck was worth $15,000, and for a part-time team, every dollar matters. Canales had done the exact same start and park for Rico Abreu back in 2015, when NASCAR commitments kept Abreu from the main event, so there was even a precedent for it. The team's reasoning was simple. The Paul Silva-owned operation races only about a quarter as often as a full-time team, so any race they can run together, they run. The money had already stacked up before Saturday. Larson won $13,000 in the Capitani Classic at Knoxville on Sunday. He won $21,000 more at Southern Iowa Speedway in Monday's Front Row Challenge. His Thursday qualifying win paid another $12,000. Add the start and park money, and the week was worth chasing on its own, even if he never turned a competitive lap on Saturday. As Larson put it during the week, this event pays a lot, the prelim night and to lock into the feature. It goes a long way for anybody, our team as well. That entry stirred up a debate all week long. A section of the fan base felt Larson was taking a spot from someone who actually intended to race Saturday. Larson saw both sides, but he did not lose sleep over it. If they want to change the rule, that's totally fine. We don't care. Do whatever they got to do, really. He also made clear that as long as the rule stayed the way it was, his team would keep racing whenever it could. Then came Saturday morning, and the forecast in Iowa looked terrible for Larson's chances. He needed rain. He got almost nothing. The forecast collapsed to about a 10% chance of rain around 6 p.m. Here's how he described that moment. When I got in the Cup car, it only showed like a 10% chance of rain at 6 p.m. or something. I was like, all right, that's a bummer. He was disappointed for a minute, then he got focused on the Cup race, and that Cup race was rough. Larson qualified 30th on Friday afternoon at the .75-mile short track. Early in the race, he fell a full lap behind the leaders. He finished 25th in Stage 1. He was grinding, nothing more. But by the end of Stage 2, he had climbed to 13th, which earned him the free pass and put him back on the lead lap. That was the pivotal call of the night from crew chief Cliff Daniels, who gambled on fresh tires late in the stage to get his driver back into contention. Daniels admitted it was a risk given the tire sets they had left, but it was the right call. The early part of the race was tough because the sun was out and the track was slick, which made passing nearly impossible. Ultimately, the right call to get us back, Daniels described how Larson took the free pass and held the lead lap from there. And while all of that was happening in Virginia, the sky opened up in Iowa. Steady rain hammered Knoxville Raceway. Hot laps hadn't even run yet. A race that should have been long finished by the time Richmond ended was still sitting there waiting. The delay eventually stretched to roughly 4 hours, pushing the entire evening of racing into question and threatening to postpone the finale to Sunday. In the middle of the Richmond race, with 114 laps to go and Larson running 14th, Cliff Daniels came over the radio with news. The exchange is worth hearing exactly as it happened. Knoxville has not even started hot laps yet. Big delay for the race. Don't know if it's tomorrow yet, but they're way behind, just so you know. A surprised Larson replied, "Knoxville? Yeah, we're working on a plan for you," Daniel said. Behind the scenes, that plan was already forming. Hendrick Motorsports president Jeff Andrews helped map it out. Larson's PR representative Kobe Gorovich worked the phones with people back in Iowa. A plane was put on standby. Daniels would rather have had a plan he could cancel than no plan at all. As he explained it after the race, "I said, hey, look, why don't we just have a plane ready, have stuff ready, and if it works out, then great. Like, I'd much rather have a plan in place that we can say no to, or if they get the feature in, so be it, than to have nothing prepared." And here's the part that says everything about the situation. Larson kept refusing. He didn't want to look distracted, and he didn't want to ask for a favor. Daniels described the persistence it took to push through that. "He kept telling me no. He kept telling Jeff Andrews no. But we were persistent because we knew that if we get him there, he can probably do something special." Larson himself explained why he stayed quiet on the radio. He wondered whether Knoxville had even started hot laps and if he had a shot, but he never wanted to key up and ask because, in his words, it would have been a bad look and he didn't want to seem unfocused on the Richmond race. Something changed once Larson knew Iowa was actually possible. His Richmond race turned around from that moment. He rocketed into the top 10 late and brought the number 5 car home in 6th. That was his best finish since Sona on June 28th. It also stopped an ugly stretch. Larson had finished outside the top 30 4 times in 5 races, a slide that had dropped him as low as 10th in the standings. He needed that run, and he got it right when it mattered, climbing back up the point standings with 2 races remaining before the postseason. "We were struggling but making improvements, and then all of a sudden Cliff came on the radio and said there was a rain delay here and they hadn't started hot laps yet," Larson said. "Then I got a kickstart of emotion there. Then the checkered flag waved at Richmond around 10:16 p.m. Eastern Time. Larson parked on pit road, unbuckled, climbed out, and ran for a waiting vehicle that took him to Richmond International Airport. A chartered jet, tail number N501KL, was ready to fly him to Pella, Iowa. He was wheels up at about 10:57 p.m. Eastern Time, less than 30 minutes after the race ended. The flight itself took roughly 118 minutes. Daniels had excused him from his normal post-race media duties, and the team had loaded the plane with food and hydration so he could recover on the way. What happened in the air was its own event. Fans found the plane on flight tracking websites. At one point, more than 16,000 people were watching that single aircraft icon crawl across the map on Flight Radar 24. It became the most tracked flight in the world. Nobody was watching highlights. Everybody was watching a plane. Knoxville Raceway even put the flight tracker up on its giant video board, turning an aviation website into part of the show. When Larson was later told about the statistic, he had a quick reply. "It's kind of cool. That's a stat because I figured someone would be tracking Donald Trump or Taylor Swift or something." He said he landed in Iowa around 12:55 a.m. and a police escort was waiting to run him to the track. Larson arrived at Knoxville Raceway before the main event even took the green. He missed hot laps completely. He did not get a single warm-up lap. He just showed up, buckled in, and went racing on the biggest night of the sprint car season. Then he made it look routine. Larson started first and led all 50 laps, every single one. Sheldon Haudenschild took a run at him. So did Casey Kane. Neither one could do anything about it. His largest lead of the race stretched to nearly 4.8 seconds over Kane on lap 24. In the first half of the feature, he lapped 12 cars, a group that included Rico Abreu, Tyler Courtney, and Corey Day. Kane, at age 46, drove to third, the best Knoxville Nationals result of his career. Larson took the checkered flag early Sunday morning and won his 4th Knoxville Nationals. Even the driver who finished second sounded happy about it. Howdenschau described chasing a car that only pulled away. "Kyle just kept getting farther and farther away," he said. Then he added a line that shows how much respect Larson carries in that garage. "I'm glad Kyle got to make it back, honestly. If I want to win this race, I want to beat Kyle and the best there is." Kane, competing in his own number 4 car, gave chase for as long as he could. "I got right to second there and I was trying to do all I could to keep up with Kyle. He slowly pulled away." He said he still felt he was in a strong position and was happy with his car all night. James McFadden and Logan Schuchart completed the top 5. In victory lane, Larson was still processing what he had just done. "It's extremely surreal," he said. He talked about the range of emotions and about how going back the last couple of days, he had no emotion at all, because he knew he would not be able to race, holding only a glimmer of hope in the forecast. Then he put it plainly, "It's just wild how I'm here tonight." He made sure to credit the team that made it possible. "I wouldn't have any Knoxville Nationals championships without Hendrick Motorsports." He said he also spoke about what that support means to him. "It just means a lot that they love dirt racing as much as I do and they support it." He praised his car owner too, calling Paul Silva a strong, smart mind who can read the car better than the driver can feel it. And he summed up the night better than anyone else could. "A 4th Knoxville Nationals in a fashion like this is unbelievable. It feels like a little bit of a dream right now." There was one more thing on his mind. For much of the week, a section of the fan base had criticized Larson for running the prelim night when he was expected to miss the finale. After the win, he answered them directly. "I hope all the fans that were moaning about us running a prelim now understand why. So anybody watching at home, on the internet, in the stands, I hope you realize this was the best case scenario, and this is exactly why we entered the Knoxville Nationals." Now, look at the numbers, because they are the real measure of the night. Larson now has 4 Knoxville Nationals titles in 2021, 2023, 2024, and now 2026. All 4 have come in the last 6 runnings of the race. That total ties him to Kenny Weld and Danny Lasowski for 4th most all time. Only Doug Wolfgang with 5 sits ahead of them in that particular group, while Donnie Schatz with 11 and Steve Kinzer with 12 lead the all-time list. The rest of the record book took a hit too. This was his 16th career win at Knoxville Raceway. It was also his 40th career victory with the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series, making him just a 22nd driver ever to reach that mark. He led all 50 laps, which pushed his career total of Knoxville Nationals main event laps led past Doug Wolfgang for 3rd on the all-time list, behind only Donnie Schatz and Steve Kinzer. He went 4 for 4 in sprint car features during Nationals Week, winning Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, and never losing once. He is believed to be the only driver ever to win 4 features during a single Nationals Week. His total earnings for the week passed $212,000. One driver, 400 laps of cup racing in Virginia, a chartered jet ride across the country, 50 laps led on dirt in Iowa, all in one unbelievable night. Kyle Larson was supposed to choose between Richmond and Knoxville. Instead, he found a way to conquer both, and that may be the most Kyle Larson thing imaginable. Because while most drivers spend an entire season trying to win one major race, Larson spent Saturday night racing against NASCAR's clock, racing against the weather, racing against an airplane schedule, and racing against the possibility that the entire Knoxville dream would disappear before he ever got there. He didn't just arrive. He arrived after midnight with no practice and no warm-up laps, climbed into the car from the pole, and drove all 50 laps at the front. So the next time someone asks why Kyle Larson keeps trying to race everything he possibly can, this weekend is probably the perfect answer. The schedule said it couldn't happen. The weather almost ruined it. The Cup race made it even harder. The flight became a national tracking event, and somehow Kyle Larson still found himself standing in victory lane at Knoxville Raceway with another Knoxville Nationals trophy in his hands. That is not just a race win. That is a story NASCAR fans are going to be talking about for a long time. And if you enjoyed the story, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to NASCAR Hub, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next NASCAR story.